Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Thus far, I have not really commented about President Ramaphosa's $700 million national dialogue. A Cafe Clutch spending $39 million US dollars in August, starting August 15th of 2025, to ostensibly discuss what's going on in South Africa. No one needs to spend $40 million to figure out what's going on in South Africa. Everything is going horribly wrong in South Africa, owing to the ineptitude, the kleptocracy, the dishonesty, the outright criminal activity of politicians in the African National Congress, and the failure of the government of national unity to accomplish anything other than self-enrichment, self-aggrandizement, and craven political power. However, now we have an ANC retread forced to resign from the African National Congress over corruption allegations and the failure to report corruption. Yes, well, I'm talking about the sixth president of the African National Congress's Women's League. She was in that position from 2015 to 2022. After she was disgraced, she remained in that position. Minister of Social Development from 2010 to 2018, and Minister in the Presidency for Women from 2018 to 2019, when she was forced to resign and essentially resigned from the ANC. But here she is still floating around. ANC veteran and former minister Bathabile Dlamini has defended the national dialogue, saying that South Africans should not miss this opportunity for reckoning, redirection, and rebirth. Reckoning. That sounds like revenge. Reckoning. What exactly are you reckoning here? The failures of the African National Congress? The theft of the ANC? She said, we must not forget that even after the apartheid state-sponsored violence, communities and organizations had to come together and build peace through dialogue processes. What? Peace was delivered by the former apartheid state. What are you talking about? The only danger, the only threat to people in South Africa was fomented in the People's War, with the Nicklin campaign and the assassinations of Inkatha Freedom Party members by the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal. Dlamini took to the ANC's in-house newsletter, the ANC Today, to express her support for this national dialogue. This is supposed to start on the 15th of August, and it's a national convention that will pave the way for a dialogue. Ramaphosa announced that world-renowned actor Dr. John Kani and Springbok captain Siya Kolisi would guide the dialogue. Siya Kolisi, who has long stated that he had no interest in becoming embroiled in politics, is now becoming part of politics. Are you surprised? I'm not. While still serving on the Springboks. Not a good idea, Siya. Not a good idea. Step away. Now, Dlamini said dialogues prove that citizens were always involved in governance matters. That's a lie. That's a lie. You're going to spend $40 million to create the fiction, the Potemkin Village appearance of citizen involvement in South African governance. Citizens aren't involved in governance. They don't vote for members of parliament. They don't vote for members of mayoral councils. They don't. They vote for political parties who pick the people who serve and owe their loyalty to the political party, not to the constituents. And any time that a bill is tabled for public discussion, the government of the ANC simply ignores, for instance, expropriation without compensation. 95% of the respondents were opposed to it. The same with the national health insurance. Hundreds of thousands of responses opposed to it, and they simply went on with what they want to do. The veneer, the false appearance of citizen participation in governance is a joke. It's what communists do, and it's what the ANC does. She says our family structure has drastically changed, and we have many broken families, child-headed households, single-parent families, and nuclear families that have separated young family members from support structures of older members of the family who used to pass on norms, culture, and the practice of the family to younger generations. Well, yeah, that is definitely the case in much of South Africa. And whose fault is that? Not apartheid. Those structures were still in place during the apartheid era. They've been broken by the ANC, paying money to people to reproduce, no consequences, by the normalization of welfare and handouts, by tripling the number of black South Africans living in abject poverty and increasing the number of white South Africans, probably by a factor of 10, who live in poverty now. She said the family structure that used to keep a strong bond is no longer there, or we have small remnants of the extended family. This is a discussion for another day. Then why were you talking about it in your article? And what does it have to do with the national dialogue? Is your national dialogue to fix the broken norms and mores of South African society? That's what you're going to spend $40 million on? What is this all about? She said, government is us, citizens, and we have a role to play in building a united, democratic, non-racial, non-sexual, and prosperous country. Well, prosperous South Africa is not. Democratic, not even remotely democratic. Non-racial? Then why do you have 145 race-based laws? Non-sexual? Well, every time you get in trouble, the African National Congress, you do start talking about gender-based violence to distract people from what's actually at hand. There's been a building collapse in Port Elizabeth. Gender-based violence. Now, she has no credibility whatsoever. She was forced to resign from the ANC years ago. And a resignation letter claimed that she was aware that the wives of ANC members were involved in a seemingly dubious relationship with cash paymaster services. She was aware of corruption and she failed to report it. Now, why does that matter if she didn't commit any crimes? Well, she did commit a crime. Section 34 of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act states that anyone who suspects or knows of another person who have committed corruption should report the offense to the police. Failure to do so is an offense in and of itself. But there were no consequences. She resigned as a minister in the presidency for women. What the heck is that anyway? You need a minister for women in the presidency? She resigned as a consequence of this corruption scandal. But she remained the president of the African National Congress's Women League for another 3 years. No consequences in the ANC. Screw up, move up. Commit crime, stay online. That's the ANC motto. No accountability. Zandile Gumeda, Ace Magashule, Zweli Mkhize, Cyril Ramaphosa. Where's the accountability? It isn't there. The National Dialogue is a 700 million rand boondoggle. It's a swindle. It's stealing money from taxpayers to create the veneer of citizen involvement in governance. And South African citizens should oppose it strongly and at every opportunity. Cheers.